more limiting.
Like, subscribe, comment. Good, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. I'm excited about this video. I'm ready to pour into you guys. I'm ready to serve you guys. I'm ready to encourage you guys. And today I'm going to be talking about the story of your life that you are crafting right now. Because whether you know it or not, you are crafting a story about your life and about yourself. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of go back and speak on some of my experiences and speak on these decision-making moments that change stories. And why I'm so intrigued with this is because we as people, we get so involved in the come up, the underdog story, right? I talked about this in a couple of Instagram videos about making videos that connect with people and always talking about the come up, because people love that shit. People love to see a fucking transformation. People love to see somebody eat shit and then come out on top. People love to see people count it out and then come out on top. You love that because you want that for yourself. You think that your story is not interesting enough to have that type of attention. And so we get involved in other people's stories because our story's not interesting, is what you're saying to yourself. But you can make decisions every day that start to shape this story into something that you actually want. But you got to have the balls and you got to have the courage. You got to have the dog in you to make that decision, push through when you make that decision to do something that you're going to be proud of, because you want to build a story that you're proud of, and then see it through, right? And then come back and tell the story. So I'm going to start not too far back, but a couple very, very pivotal moments in my life. One being, I spoke about it on the podcast last episode or the episode before, I don't remember, but about my first relationship. So I had my first real, I hate to admit this, but mental breakdown almost with my very, very first relationship. I mean, I was just fucking crushed and heartbroken when this relationship ended. And again, hindsight is always 2020. Obviously, I had a lot of things that I needed to work through, that I was actually letting myself even get that deep into a hole or that deep into this darkness where I literally thought about committing suicide, okay? So I didn't want to start there. I mean, we're carving the story out right now. I'm a guy 5-10 years ago, multiple times in my life, that I thought that it would be better for me to just jump off a bridge than to live. Dead ass. I really thought the pain that I was feeling and the agony that I was going through and the lack of self-worth and the lack of self-belief and the lack of purpose and the lack of just drive to be here. At this point, I wasn't stunt riding yet, so I was still riding street bikes. And I was like, I will just ride this thing so fast that if I hit a car, it's not even my fault anyways. I'll just disappear. Everything will be good, right? But check it out. That story ends. That story is not interesting. That story is a story of a failure. That story is a story of a selfish man who decided that his pain, very, very small, minute pain, he just couldn't handle it. So he just had to give up. He just had to quit. That story doesn't get told. And I know this is going to sound very harsh, but listen, I was there, and this is what got me out. Is that realizing I had the power and that I was giving power away to someone and something that did not deserve it. So I was just in this mental hole where I was struggling so much. But again, so what do we see here? We're seeing me overcoming. We're seeing a come up right here, right? I'm in a relationship. It ends. I'm crushed. I'm devastated. And again, almost embarrassed to admit this. So I'm not trying to feed into anybody and say that wallowing in your sorrow and crawling in the fetal position is okay, because it's absolutely not okay, especially as a man. But at this point in time, I didn't have these principles in my life. So I just let this fucking destroy me. But again, at 20 years old, my story could have been fucking over right there. Bam. I'm done. There's nothing to tell. I'm not even sitting here doing this video right now, but I pushed through that. I said it on a podcast before. I got on antidepressants, right? I was suicidal. I literally bought a gun and drove around with it in my car every single day, getting drunk, getting high, thinking about blowing my brains out. That's how fucking miserable I was, and that's how much pain I was in that I was just making up in my head. So a story that I'm crafting here, right? And I had absolutely no idea about this type of living. Otherwise, when the relationship ended in the first place, I just would have fucking took it off the chin. I wouldn't have been like, if I'm going to live a story I'm proud of, I'm not going to sit here and let somebody else that it's not going to be in my life anymore destroy me, throw me off my fucking game, make me sit down, make me stop working on my goals, make me stop working on my dreams, make me check out on my purpose and my mission. I'm not going to let somebody else do that. I would never, right? But I wasn't even living like this. I didn't have the mindset. And this is where I started creating that mindset, was when I was like, okay, I need something to do, right? And I was a bike. I was like, okay, I have all this pent up energy that's directed towards death. Let me get a motorcycle. I don't know if that was a good idea. Obviously, it panned out in my favor. But as I start to get into the bike life and start doing all these things, I start becoming more reckless. I get over the breakup. I'm doing all this dumb shit with girls, multiple girlfriends, sleeping with multiple girls at a time, drinking, again, drinking, smoking, doing all this bullshit that's just very, very unhealthy. But looking back now, I had no idea if I was to stay in that life, right? If I was to stay in the chasing the girls and going out to clubs and doing all this bullshit, nobody would know who I am. That story does not play out in my favor, because I'm probably going to get addicted. I'm probably going to stay on my antidepressants. I'm probably going to keep drinking. I'm probably going to keep doing all this bullshit on the back end. But I got so invested in the bike that's what started to pull me out. So even at that moment in time, like 10 years ago, I'm already creating the story, right? Because 2 years before that, I'm done. I want to commit suicide. I'm out of here. I want to kill myself. I beat that. Okay, the bike is giving me a sense of purpose. See how we're already crafting this story? Because every book, every movie, every story that you like, when the character gets the adversity and he turns around and walks away, or he doesn't slay the dragon, or he just says, fuck it, oh, this is too hard, I don't want to do it, you don't hear those stories. So again, we're already building this come up story. Wanted to commit suicide, got over it, found the bike, but now I'm in this like dark hole of like sex and instant gratification and all this like just dark shit, because I'm looking for an out. I think that every girl that I meet is going to be the one, and she's not the one, throw her out, grab another one, all this shit, and it's dark, and it's very, very, very mentally unhealthy. And even when I was riding, I put so much emphasis, and I speak about this a lot, I put so much emphasis into the bike that the bike wasn't working, if the bike was broken, if I lost it like I did in my accident, all these other things, I would immediately go back to suicide. Immediately. The bike's gone, fuck it, I'll just kill myself. I got nothing to live for. I'm not thinking right. I'm not thinking that I'm crafting a story here. I'm not thinking that every piece of adversity adds to the goodness of the story. Every piece of adversity gives you the climax of the story, the fucking good part. If you're going through a hard time right now, the adversity that you're facing, the situation that you're trying to get over, this is the fucking best part of the story. Don't run from it. Every single time something would fall off, I couldn't just sit with myself and be like, okay, I'm good. I'm a good man. I'm a good person. I serve other people. I'm good. No, I was a selfish piece of shit, right? All about myself. Anything that was taken away from me, that I validated myself with, that made me who I am as a person to other people, boom, right back to suicide. Every time. Okay? So I get deeper invested in riding. I start stunt riding. Okay? So after I had made it through all the riding fast and realized, okay, I'm being so reckless. I'm riding so crazy, 100, 120, 140 miles an hour on the freeway, cutting traffic, all this shit. I'm really going to die. And at that point, I was happy with the bike enough that I wanted to keep riding it. So at this point, the bike saved me. Before I jumped on it, I was so consumed with death that's why I bought the shit in the first place. How close can I get to dying and maybe have it not be my fault? But I got so invested in it and I started loving it so much. I was like, okay, I can't die. I don't want to anymore. I want to keep riding. So that's when I got into stunt riding, because I was like, okay, these guys are doing this in a parking lot. Okay. It's definitely, I'm not going to die. I could break an arm, could break a leg, could break my neck, whatever, but I'm not going to die. So when I started stunt riding, I'm starting to progress here, right? I'm starting to move on from things that are unhealthy, and there's like this overcoming story that's being built. And when I started stunt riding, I was so fucking bad. So bad. I watched people that started after me wheelie before me. I just could not figure this shit out. I don't know why. I couldn't grasp the concept in my head, but it took me longer than anybody that I know to learn how to wheelie. Longer than anybody that I know. Unless people had quit. And this is where I want to get here. The story does not end until you quit. When you're getting to that part in your life or your journey and your mission and your purpose in the craft that you're trying to master, the story about it, it's still interesting when you're in the fucking mud. When you're in the trenches, that's the interesting part. That's the best part of the story. But when you quit, boring. It's done. It's over. Nobody knows about you. Nobody hears about you. Your last name doesn't get put in the record books. Nobody talks about you. Nobody sees you and says how much you've helped them. The story just ends when you quit. So if I would have quit, that would have been the story, right? Yeah, I bought a bike, tried to wheelie, wasn't really my thing. I just couldn't figure it out. Nobody wants to hear that shit. Nobody. If I wouldn't have pushed through that to finally get it to click and figure out how to wheelie, you wouldn't even figure out how to wheelie. You wouldn't be watching this video right now. You wouldn't even be invested in this podcast because you wouldn't know who I am. So then I figured it out. And at this point, fast forward 2 years, go to the accident. You guys have all heard this story before. Okay, here we go. Running from the cops, T-bone a car, get fucked up, go to the hospital, go to jail, come home. A decision has to be made. This is the times that I'm talking about. When you're facing that adversity, look yourself in the mirror and go, what decision would I need to make to be able to be proud of myself later? Not right now, because right now I know you're in the shit. Right now I know you're in the trenches. Right now I know it's hard. Right now I know you want to quit. Right now I know it sucks. But what would you need to do? What decision would you need to make? What decision would you need to make to be proud of yourself after this? Because I can tell you right now, if you fucking quit, you will not be proud of yourself. Plain and simple. At no point did I ever think about quitting after this accident. And we're talking the same game where people will not figure out how to wheel, and just because they can't figure out, they'll sell their bike and quit. You're talking the same game that people will get arrested and they'll quit. Right? You're talking the same game. People break their arm and they're absolutely done. I can't do this anymore. It's too expensive. It's too risky. It's too dangerous. All this bullshit. The same game. All those things wrapped up into one fucking thing. Couldn't work for 6 months. No bike. Couldn't go to the fucking gym. Couldn't do anything I wanted to do. Couldn't even fucking walk. Court case. Medical bills. Charges. Felony charges. All this shit stacked up on top of me. What's the story? If I would have told it right, if I would have quit and told the story right then, how's it go? Yeah, I was a stunt rider once before. I learned how to wheelie, standing on my seat. Just that was it. That was the only wheelie I could do, was just standing on my seat. And then I got in an accident. It was pretty hard, and had some stuff going on with the law, so I just hung it up. You understand? I could never live with myself if that's how my story went. I just wouldn't be proud of it. And I'm so proud of myself that I stuck with it. Not anything having to do with stunt riding. The fact that I could look back and go, damn, bro, you had all those odds stacked up against you and you still chose to press on. You still chose to move forward. I am proud of that. I could give a fuck about the bike. I could give a fuck about the sponsors. I could give a fuck about the money. I could give a fuck about any of that. What I care about is that I was facing shit that makes people quit. and I kept pushing. And after the accident, I just went absolutely crazy, right? And after the accident, I just went absolutely crazy. I progressed more in the first 6 months after my accident than I did in the first 2 years of riding. Because I've told this story before. I felt like I got a second chance. I was like, yo, God spared me. Let's get it. I'm supposed to be doing this. Think about that. Think about that story. He comes back from the situation, broken, defeated, comes back, and he's better. And not only is he better, but he becomes one of the best in the country. One of the best straight line riders in the country. Think about that. That's a story that we're proud of. That's a story we're proud to tell. That's a story that's a story we're proud to tell. And even leading up to now, 12 years in the game almost, you talk about the sponsorships, talk about some of the opportunities that I've been given, and then you go all the way backwards to that, right? Start from the beginning. How did he start? And then develop the story. This is what you guys need to be doing with yourself. How did you start? Start from the beginning. You guys are counted out. You guys are the underdog. You guys are not supposed to be there. You're underqualified, they say, right? Started from nothing. Started from mental turmoil, not wanting to be here. Moved on to get a motorcycle. Thought about just letting the motorcycle take him out. Moves on to stunt riding. He's horrible at it. He can't figure it out. It's taking him longer than anybody. People are showing up and becoming better in way faster time. Doesn't quit. Gets in an accident. A career-ending accident. Has injuries that last a lifetime. Catches a court case, a felony court case. Medical bills out the ass. He doesn't quit. He becomes one of the best riders in the country. That's a story we're proud to tell. We haven't even spoken about some of the opportunities that came from that. Working at Icon Motorsports as a videographer, they required degrees. They said I should have gone to film school. I had no professional experience. I was filming in a parking lot with my fucking brother with a Canon T5i, and you guys don't know what that is. It's a beginner entry-level camera. I showed up at a shoot for Icon with this camera. What did I do when they said, hey, we need a degree, we need your resume, you need to know this, this, and this, do you know how to use this program, have you edited this, none of it. I had done none of it. But I looked myself in the mirror and I said, if I let this shit slip, I'm going to hate myself forever. So I didn't. I showed up and I said, I will do whatever you need me to do. I will do it. I will learn whatever you need me to learn. And bam, I got in the door. Look at the story. Look at the story. I'm not supposed to be there. You're not supposed to be there. But we show up and we find a way to get the opportunity, and that just adds to the story. Again, if I would have showed up at Icon, asked for a job, and they would have said no, and I just would have said, oh, okay, got in my car and went home and never went back, what kind of fucking story is that? Not one I'm proud to tell. And even opportunities after that, making videos for Youre as a street rider who's a corporate company, making videos for EBC, a corporate company, as a street rider, getting an article wrote about me on EBC's website, a corporate company. They always said street riders couldn't get corporate sponsorships. Change the game. Those are stories I'm proud to tell because of where for Youre, now making videos for EBC. Now I'm working at Icon. All these opportunities came just because we refused to quit. Just because we refused to take no for an answer. Just because we refused that when we had a chance to develop the story, we took the decision that we would be proud to tell afterwards, and that's why I'm telling you now. And I want to switch gears a little bit because I don't really talk about my personal life that much, and I know I need to start more because there's a lot of stuff that's got to get uncovered there that you guys don't know about me that I need to talk about. So just in my professional life, right? A lot of things people don't know about me is I had made 6 figures at a job before. I had already touched 100K. It's like that that goal that everybody's trying to hit. Oh, I want to make 100K. I want to make 100K. Obviously, 100K is nothing these days, but 10 years ago, 100K was good money, and I hit that, okay? And I looked around, and I was like, man, no, bro. This isn't it. This is not it. I have to answer to somebody. Somebody determines my time. Somebody determines what I wear. Someone is going to tell me that, oh, because you represent the company, you have to act a certain way outside of the company. What the fuck? So I'm your slave. Because I'm here, I work for you. I got to wear your uniform. I got to be here when you want me to be here. I got to stay late if you want me to stay late. And then when I'm gone, I got to act right because I work for you. And then I'm supposed to be happy because I'm making 100K, right? I'm making six figures. And then, right, there's always room for growth because that's what they do. They wave a check in your face. They wave an opportunity in your face for you to sell yourself to them, right? So, hey, yeah, we can move you up and I would have got a cute retirement plan and a 401k and medical insurance and dental and health and all this bullshit for my family. That would have been cute. But not a story I want to fucking tell. I don't want to tell that story. I'm not proud of that. I want to be an independent man. I want to be able to express myself. I want to be able to do what I want to do when I want to do it. I want to be able to be with my kids and my wife every fucking day with nobody breathing down my neck saying, you got to be here. You got to wear this. I want you here at this time. No, absolutely not. Not a life I want to live. So if I had that thought in my head that I didn't want to live that way and act like you're watching a movie here, you see a guy discouraged. You see a guy show up every fucking day to a job he hates. You see him defeated every fucking day he walks in the door. He goes home. He's unsatisfied with himself. All he does is work. He doesn't even have time to spend the fucking money he's making because he's working so much. And imagine this. Imagine he stays there. Imagine the movie is supposed to be about the guy quitting the job, and the opportunity that he has to quit the job, he doesn't do it. He just stays. And he stays miserable. Are you going to finish that movie? You're not finishing that movie. You're going to turn it off. Imagine every situation that you're in is a movie script. We're making a movie right now. What would you have to do to make it interesting? I'm quitting that fucking job. No, not me. Not today. You can miss me with all that shit. I won't be here tomorrow. Because that's what would make me proud, is knowing I believe in myself and I believe I'm capable of being an independent man, going out on my own and doing it. That's what would make that fucking story great. I'm going to go do something else that is less strenuous. I'll take a pay cut, gives me time to build my business. And I'm thinking just because I took the jump, this shit's going to be easy. Should be no problem. I'll work a little bit here, work on my business here. I'll be out of working at that job in no time. But that's not how it went. Worked the job for another 1.5 years. Every single day, same shit. Wanted to quit, hated it. Wish I would have never took the fucking job. Sometimes wish I would have been like, fuck, why did I ever quit that shit in the first place? I should have stayed making that money. Because now I'm doing the same thing, but I'm making less money and my shit on the side isn't working. The restaurant that I worked at closed during COVID. I got time off and I was like, okay, this is it. I'm about to run a fucking bag up right now. Not a lot of people know this, but I started day trading. I lost every fucking penny that I had saved for the last 10 years. Devastated. Not only did I lose my money, not only did I not have a backup plan, but I lost my wife's money and it put a fucking strain on our relationship. But again, reel it back. Look at the story here. Adversity, moments, decisions that can be made. What would I need to do right now to make myself proud? What would I need to do right now to make myself proud? If somebody asked me my story, hey, I heard you were a day trader. Yeah, I tried it. It's just not for me. No, I lost a little bit of money. It's just really not for me. No, I'm not telling that. I'm not telling that story. No, I never quit. I never gave up. And I continue to press forward. And I continue to press forward in that industry still today. Because I won't quit until I have what I want. The story is still developing. That's something you guys have to understand. When you are not seeing results, tell yourself, my story is still developing. this underdog story, this come up. I'm still on the come up. It doesn't matter how long the come up is. All that matters is you don't quit and you make it out the other side so you can tell that story. Now at this point, I'm broke, flat broke, barely have a few dollars to my name. So what do I got to do? I got to tuck my pride. I got to do something I absolutely fucking do not want to do. Go get a job. Absolutely fucking the last thing that I wanted to do was go get a fucking job, because that's why I quit in the first place. That's why I went down this road in the first place. I made all these decisions. I was like, okay, this is my fucking time. And it just wasn't my time. It just fucking wasn't my time. I went back to a job for 2 years. Back in that same place that I was before. I used to look myself in the mirror every day and talk so horribly to myself. You should be fucking embarrassed of yourself. You went back. Something you said you'd never do. Why would you do this to yourself? All this shit. But not knowing until now that I've made it out the other side, I was just developing the story. He quits the first time. He gets an opportunity. He fumbles the opportunity. He has to go back. Okay, if I stop the story right there and I just fucking quit and I just say, fuck it, I'll throw in the towel and I'll just work for this job for the rest of my life, that story is dead. You have to understand, you have to keep pushing through every single fucking adversity, because when you stop pushing is when the story ends. You could do all this great shit for 10, 15, 20 years. And the moment some shit pops up that's going to break you and you say, no, I'm done, I tap out, the story ends. I grinded, I pushed through mental battles and dark fucking places. Had some very tough times in my relationship and in my personal life and my mental health, all these things. I kept telling myself, if I fucking push through, something will happen for me. Something will happen for me. If I stay true to myself, if I believe in myself, something will happen. And something happened. I quit my job at my fucking wit's end. Absolutely at the end of my absolute fucking patience. I can't do this shit anymore. I can't wake up in the morning, look myself in the mirror, say I'm a fucking real one, say I'm a fucking soldier, say I'm a fucking man, and be miserable and do this shit. I'm fucking done. I had $6 in my bank account, a wife and 2 kids to feed, 3 fucking people dependent on me, and I had $6 in my bank account and I quit my job. Why? Because of the story. How fucking dope is it for me to tell the story that I hated my job so much and I believed I was capable of more, and I believed in myself so much, and I had so much conviction within myself and what God had planned for me that I was willing to quit my job with $6 in my bank account. Who doesn't want to tell that story? And I did. And on that same day that I quit my job with $6 in my bank account, I hit my biggest lick in trading. And I did a video project for the most expensive house that has ever been listed in my area. I showed up on that video set with all these rich people with $6 in my bank account. And I showed up like I was supposed to be there, because I fucking was supposed to be there. And everything panned out in my favor. And in the next 4 months, after quitting my job with $6 in my bank account, I had 6-figure income. From beginning to end, look at the story. Heartbroken, depressed, drugs, alcoholism, smoking weed every single day, straight degenerate, reckless on a motorcycle, starts stunt riding, can't figure it out, gets in an accident that could have killed him, fights the court case, deals with the medical bills, stays out of jail, becomes one of the best riders in the country, works at Icon Motorsports, becomes one of the best riders in the country, works at Icon Motorsports as a videographer with no experience, ends up going on to do corporate projects with companies that people said that street riders would never get the opportunity to do, works a job he fucking hates, and everyone says he'd be crazy if he quits. He quits anyways, takes an L, loses all of his money, goes back to a fucking job. When people have to go back with their tail between their legs is when the story usually ends. But I refused. Quit the job with $6 in his bank account. And 4 months later has a 6-figure income. I'm proud to tell that story. Every day I wake up, I operate from a state where I make decisions based upon the story. If it's gonna be hard, let's fucking do it. If my back's up against the wall, let's fucking do it. If I'm the underdog, let's fucking do it. If I'm underqualified, let's fucking do it. If it's gonna be risky, let's fucking do it. And what I hope that you guys got out of this video is that you are capable. The situation that you're in right now is the best fucking part of the story, and you have to tell yourself that. All the shit that's going on right now is going to be the best part when you tell it, when you make it through. But you cannot quit. You got to stay down. You have to believe in yourself. You have to believe you're capable of more. And whatever that thing is on your heart, you have to go after it.